Good morning and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. And we begin with the latest on the U.S. plan to end the war in Ukraine. Bringing the conflict to an end would require Kyiv to give up territory to Russia and limit the size of its army. President Volodymyr Zelensky was presented with a 28-point plan during a meeting with U.S. Secretary of the Army Daniel Diskro. Under a draft cited by media, Crimea, Luhansk and Donetsk would be recognized as Russian land by the United States, and Ukrainian forces would have to withdraw from the parts of Donetsk region that they currently control. Ukraine would also reduce its forces to 600,000 troops from the current level of 900,000. According to the Financial Times, the U.S. wants Zelensky to sign the deal before the Thanksgiving holiday, which falls on Thursday, November 27th. There's just one line about security guarantees for Ukraine, but the document provides no details about the form they would take. In return for promises, including a pledge not to invade neighboring nations, Russia would reportedly see Western sanctions lifted, recover most of its frozen assets, and be allowed back into the G8 group. In the event of a renewed Russian invasion of Ukraine, Moscow would reportedly face a decisive coordinated military response and reinstated global sanctions. The plan involving territorial concessions and a change in army numbers resulted in a guarded response from President Zelensky, saying that Ukraine seeks real peace. During his nightly address, Zelensky said Kyiv will not try to disrupt the peace process and will work on the proposals.
The American side presented its proposals, points of the plan to end the war, their vision. Since the first days of the war, we have been taking one extremely simple position. Ukraine needs peace, and a real peace, one that will not be broken by a third invasion. A dignified peace so that the conditions are with respect for our independence, our sovereignty, and the dignity of the Ukrainian people. And we must ensure such conditions. I outlined what is fundamentally important for us, and we agreed that the teams will work on these proposals so that it is real. We will not make harsh statements and are committed to clear, honest work. Ukraine, the United States, and our friends and partners in Europe and the world.
And we continue on the talks revolving the peace plan. Senior White House officials met with their Ukrainian counterparts. Spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt told reporters U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff were involved in the meetings.
President Trump has made it very clear since day one, and even on the campaign trail, that he wants to see this war come to an end. He has grown increasingly frustrated with both sides of this war, Russia and Ukraine alike, for their refusal to commit to a peace agreement. But nevertheless, the president and his national security team are steadfast in seeing this war come to an end, to end the killing and deliver on the president's promise. Special Envoy Witkoff, Marco Rubio, have been working on a plan quietly for about the last month. They've been engaging with both sides, Russia and Ukraine, equally to understand what these countries would commit to in order to see a lasting and durable peace. They have been engaged with both sides, and these talks are continuing. As always, I'm not going to litigate the details of this plan as it's ongoing and it's in flux, but the president supports this plan. It's a good plan for both Russia and Ukraine, and we believe that it should be acceptable to both sides, and we're working very hard to get it done.
Speaking to World News Tonight, Diane Francis, senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, described Donald Trump's peace plan for Ukraine as relying on some of the worst negotiation tactics she's seen.
I think that a lot of goodies, business-wise, resource-wise, have been dangled in the faces of the White House people by Russia. On the other hand, looking at it from the other way, all the pressure should be on Russia because Russia is economically collapsing. Russia's not winning this war. Russia can't use its ultimate weapons because it would be vaporized. So, Russia really has less leverage than Ukraine, and yet the Americans are giving credence to Putin's wishes, which are totally one-sided. I find the whole thing very strange. Some people think that Putin has had control over Trump for various, imaginary reasons. Who knows? I just think this is the worst negotiation tactics that I have ever seen. where you award that you give one side concessions and don't extract anything out of the other. It's crazy.
From the peace plan talks, now it's time for some latest updates from Ukraine. A Russian attack on Ukraine's southeastern city of Zaporizhzhia has killed 5 people and injured 8 others. The Kyiv Independent reports that the late Thursday strikes caused widespread damage to civilian infrastructure, including at least 5 apartment blocks. The regional governor had earlier warned about an attack by Russian guided bombs. Emergency services were deployed to fight fires and evacuate wounded civilians. UN Political Affairs official Kyoko Goto called for a just, comprehensive and sustainable peace in Ukraine. She was speaking after a Wednesday morning Russian drone and missile attack on the western Ukrainian city of Ternopil killed and wounded dozens of people.
We urge concerted and inclusive diplomatic efforts resulting in tangible progress towards a just and lasting peace. The alternative is to risk letting the war prolong, expand, and escalate further to even more dangerous levels. I would like to conclude by reiterating the Secretary General's repeated call for full, immediate, and unconditional ceasefire as a first step towards a just, comprehensive, and sustainable peace in Ukraine. This means a peace that fully upholds Ukraine's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders in line with the UN Charter, international law, and relevant UN resolutions.
And now to Poland. On Friday, the Polish army launched an anti-sabotage campaign called Operation Horizon. It was announced after 2 recent acts of railway sabotage in the east of the country, described by Polish authorities as state terrorism organized by Russia. 10,000 Polish troops will be deployed as part of Operation Horizon. They will aid other services in ensuring safety of Poland's infrastructure, railway lines, and transport hubs. Various branches of the Polish army are taking part in the large-scale operation, including territorial defense forces, special forces, cyberspace defense forces, as well as engineering and drone forces. Poland will also launch a mobile app in mid-December, where suspected acts of sabotage can be reported to the authorities. Poland is demanding Belarus hand over the 2 suspects accused of blowing up a railway line in the country's east on Russia's behalf. It comes as Warsaw shuts down Moscow's last remaining consulate in Poland, with officials warning the attack could have led to a fatal disaster.
Now that Poland knows the identities of the 2 agents hired by Russia to derail trains last weekend, the Polish government is determined to bring them to justice. This is one of them, Yevgeny Ivanov, a 41-year-old Ukrainian national contracted by the Russian military intelligence service, GRU. He and another Ukrainian national, Alexander Kononov, fled to Belarus immediately after blowing up one of the rail tracks in eastern Poland. Warsaw is now demanding that Minsk gives them up.
Apart from the diplomatic note, there are also other Polish institutions involved, the security services, the prosecution. But let's be honest, Belarus is still refusing to give up the migrant who stabbed a Polish soldier on the border a few months back, so we can't kid ourselves about their intentions.
The 2 saboteurs, hired by Russia, set up explosives on a stretch of rail track near the village of Mika on Saturday evening. One of the charges failed to go off, which prevented the entire track from being destroyed. Over the next several hours, at least 9 trains filled with passengers passed over this section. If not for sheer luck, one of these trains could have crashed from this embankment. According to Polish officials, the choice of this location was not incidental.
Sabotage is when you damage property. When your intention is to kill people, that's no longer sabotage, that's state terrorism.
On Thursday, Polish Foreign Minister Sikorski traveled to Brussels and told his European counterparts that they should look at this incident in Poland as a warning.
Obviously, colleagues were appalled, and everybody needs to revise their security procedures. Russia is clearly escalating.
This attack is indeed an example of a major shift in Russia's approach to hybrid war. It means Moscow is now ready to take the lives of European citizens through acts of sabotage.
It's getting very close to being clearly very dangerous for not only citizens of the countries, in this situation it's Poland, but on a bigger scale.
Article 5 of the NATO treaty says an attack against one is an attack against all. But analysts are uncertain what would have been the alliance's response if the operatives hired by Russia succeeded in derailing a train in Poland.
Or have the red lines of what an attack is and what an attack isn't changed?
I believe that that's why I'm talking about the possible emergency meeting, because I think that that clarification has to be more clear, because clearly the modern war is different than it was before.
And these conversations will be taking place in the near future. At the request of Polish MEPs from the European People's Party, the European Parliament will hold a debate on the rail sabotage incident next week. European leaders are also to meet for the European Council summit in mid-December, where the issue is likely to be raised. For TVP World, I'm Kazimierz Łysiak.
The European Commission is reportedly poised to issue a formal warning to Italy over concerns that the country's far-reaching golden power rules used to vet foreign takeovers could breach EU law. The Commission has been critical of the powers, which gives Rome the right to impose requirements on takeovers of strategic Italian assets. The rules were introduced in 2012 to cover the defense, energy, transport and communication sectors. But Italy later increased the areas falling within the scope of the rules to include banking, health and water. The Financial Times reports that on Friday, Rome will be sent a letter marking the official start of the infringement procedure. Officials will request information from Italy, after which Rome must send a detailed reply. And now time to end our service on a high note. Our reporter Gabriela Jelonek made her way to Santa's village to get us in the mood for Christmas and show us around one of the dreamiest places in the world that every child and probably most adults would love to visit. Take a look.
For the first time in history, Poland has direct flights from Warsaw to Lapland, so the city of Rovaniemi, known as the Santa Claus hometown. And we came here to check for you what you can do and what Santa Claus would like to tell you.
First of all, welcome to Lapland. Great to see you on the Arctic Circle. You know, Lapland has many faces, depending what you like, what you prefer. But I would say that my top 4 would be nature, connecting nature, and then snow, and then togetherness, and last but not least, sharing happiness and joy.
Visiting this winter wonderland is a dream not only of children, but also for the adults. And we had an opportunity to talk with some of them who came here from all around the world.
Oh, very fun. We are honeymoon. Yeah.
Very beautiful landscape and I love it.
Today we visit Santa Claus and tomorrow we go to Inari for the tour in Lapland. A small tour.
We just got here 15 minutes ago, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah, probably the snow everywhere. We are from Spain, so we're not used to that.
Direct flight starts operating 27th of November and will last till February 1st, so don't hesitate to take your opportunity to come here to see this winter wonderland, and I can assure you that it's really worth it. For TVP World from Rovaniemi, Finland, Gabriela Jelonek.
And so this was all the latest news for now. Thank you for joining me. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska, and I hope to see you back here on TVP World for more news and features in just a moment.